currently we only know 5% about aging clocks and reverse aging. So the future looks bright because we have 95% of information to uncover. For me, two things. I keep saying sleep, sleep, sleep. That's why I love
the
that
number
you
one
said sleep.
biohack of life. Yep.
Huge. I mean, I've just come from a flight, as you know, I've slept for 5 hours, and I realized what it does to me mentally on a mental level, energetically as well. And number two for me, which is completely underrated, and although I know, Joy, you're, very much into sports and movement, strength training, and you know this because you're literally that person. Strength training is so underestimated in women. What's your biohack?
Oh, goodness. I love my hydrogen water. I mean, I think that hydration, like after your sleep and after all these other things, I think we have to be focusing on the quality of the water. I mean, I look at this bottle that you have right here, and I just wonder, what is the journey that this water has had to go in, right? From processing it, sitting in a hot storage, being transported. I mean, it's dead by the time that we drink it. So getting hydrogen water that actually hydrates you on a cellular level, I think is really important. And when I switched over to my hydrogen machine, I felt a difference within a couple days.
Longevity for me is not living longer and horrible lives. It's really lengthening your health span, being the optimal version of yourself. When I see you, Joy, I've looked at you on Instagram, you're living your true life, your best life. It's not about living a long life. It's about living your best optimal version of yourself that wakes up every morning excited, happy, looking forward to the day. That's what longevity is for me.
So our talk today is going to be all about longevity, biohacking, nutrition, movements going forward, new technologies that are out there. So one of the first questions that I want to ask you is, as we see longevity becoming this global movement, from your perspective, where does the future of longevity going?
That's such an interesting question because initially I was a little bit worried. I was thinking, people have become obsessed with biological aging clocks. And currently we only know 5% about aging clocks and reverse aging. So the future looks bright because we have 95% of information to uncover. But at the same time, I'm worried that people are just not looking at it as a holistic system and just focusing, laser-eyed on just trying to hack into looking younger, feeling younger, but not looking at the big picture. But there's 95% of information to uncover.
Well, and I mean, now with all the wearables and all these gadgets and stuff, it's just becoming kind of consuming. What have you seen as far as like these quick little fixes that people are looking into that probably don't cost a lot of money, but people are curious about?
I think that the wearables, like you said, Joy, for me, that's kind of an interesting one because at this point, wearables are very in fashion. I just met someone from one of the practitioners in Dubai who told me that the elites or the rich people here now are swapping their Rolexes for their wearables.
Wow.
And it's become a status of symbol for them. So on the one hand, that's a good thing because you'd rather have people interested in it than not, and people trying to monitor and track their health. But on the other hand, as a woman who has constant ups and downs when it comes to hormones and cycle, I actually don't think wearables are a very healthy choice to make long term.
Interesting. Because I know a lot of people say like, I know I had a crappy night of sleep. I don't want to wake up and read my score and it's blaring at me at a 41%. And now my day is all messed up because in my head, I'm like, oh man, I slept like crap. My day is going to be like crap. So how would you teach your clients like, okay, let's kind of look at the data, but take it with a grain of salt?
100%. And the thing is, like, for me, I'm all for things like continuous glucose monitoring, for example.
That.
Do it for 2 weeks.
Yes.
And, you track your blood sugars. You're like, when I eat oats, my blood sugar spikes. But if I eat, I don't know, some kind of lean protein, I feel fine. Use it for 2 weeks and then drop it.
Great. This is one of the reasons I just got the Gabbit ring, actually. And this is one of the only wearables that don't have a subscription model. So I can wear it for a couple weeks and then I can take a rest for a couple weeks and then I can bring it back into the market rather than constantly paying for something, right? But to
and
your
also,
point,
Joy, the other point about that is, you're constantly wearing it, and you talked about sleep.
Yeah.
But you've had a bad night of sleep.
Yeah.
So why are you looking at that 41% score?
Right. Yeah. I'm like turning it into a game. I'm actually turning all of these biohacks into a lifestyle game. Instead of thinking about it as being overwhelming, tracking all your macros, swapping out all the dirty products, all the environmental toxins. I'm looking at life as like, what's one thing that I can swap from my house? Whether that's going from a Teflon pan to a cast iron or getting one wearable, whatever, right? So I think that we just need to make it fun and not so serious. We're not reading this at 41% and being like, oh my God, my day's gonna be crap. No, I think that we can change the words that we're saying to ourselves to help.
The mindset, yeah, absolutely. 100% agree with you.
So back to the continued glucose monitor, because I find this fascinating. And I think it's one wearable that everyone should wear for 2 weeks of their life. And I can't find a good one in Dubai, number one, in the middle. And I mean, type 2 diabetes is highly on the rise, right? They say that by the 2030 in the States, 50% of the people are going to be type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic, which is similar to the statistics in the Middle East. So imagine if people were to wear continued glucose, have like that little white thing be a fashion statement. Yeah. Are people doing that in the UK?
They are. They really are. I mean, a lot of the everyday people are now becoming very conscious of it. And they realize that, 2 weeks is enough for them to understand this.
Okay, so if you were to recommend this for your clients, someone that has no idea what we're talking about, what would they find?
So I just did this recently, a constant glucose monitor in the UK. And the guy was a client of mine, 65 years old, almost 60, closer to 70 actually. And he said, you know what, I'm fine, I'm slim, I'm taking my metformin, which is, the blood sugar, the insulin medication. And he was like, I'm fine. I said, I'm sure if we did this for 2 weeks, I'm sure that the oats you're eating is the culprit. And he was like, but oats is supposed to be healthy. I told him, look, just trust me, give me 2 weeks of your time. I installed it on his phone and literally his blood sugar would spike from like a fasting blood sugar of maybe 5.1 in the morning to literally, I'm talking about 9, 10 after a little bowl of oats.
Wow.
So I was like, for him, that was an eye opener.
Yeah.
This man had been having these oats for like
years.
Yeah, decades.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh my God, Romina, you're right.
Yeah.
What should I do for breakfast now?
Yeah. I mean, I'm so fascinated because I love coffee first thing in the morning. Sometimes I will have my straight up Americano, black. Other days I'll have my bulletproof, with a little bit of collagen and MCT oil. But there's so many people that say drinking coffee on an empty stomach is bad for the blood sugar and the roller coaster. So I think just those small tweaks that you could learn in a 2-week time period is knowledge for the rest of your life.
And think about that coffee that you're taking. If you tested, day one coffee without the MCT and the next day with the MCT, I'm sure you've done that.
Again, a game. Play it into a game, and then like you could try eating right before bed or eating like 4 hours before bed and also seeing what that does. And then linking it to this to see your sleep scores based on your glycemic index for the day.
I love that. And I think, but at some point, this data shouldn't control you. I think that's my fear.
Yeah.
Like if the data controls
Back
you.
to the tracking. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is why I feel like the 2 weeks is a good kind of sweet spot.
Yes. What biohacks do you personally believe in that offer the biggest ROI for our health right now?
For me, 2 things. I think I keep saying sleep. That's why I love that you said
the number one biohack of life. Yep.
Huge. I mean, I've just come from a flight, as you know, I've slept for 5 hours and I realized what it does to me mentally on a mental level, energetically as well. Mm-hmm. And number 2 for me, which is completely underrated. And although I know, Joy, you're, very much into sports and movement, strength training. And you know this because you're literally that person. Strength training is so underestimated in women.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they're still obsessed with losing weight, trying to get
running, so many HIIT classes. Though I see that all the time. And it's people think that by eating less calories, training more, doing all this cardio is going to be better for their long health. But we know that if they focus on just those 2 things, their life could improve dramatically.
This is one of the key things we're going to do in our longevity conference next at the end of this week, actually. We are really bringing, and one of the titles of the sessions is From Muscle to Movement, one of the key antidotes to aging. And I think, again, we can talk about supplements, we can talk about nutrition, but what happens to sports nutrition? What happens to really strength training and building muscle? Because the problem is with longevity, it's become such a buzzword in Dubai or all over the world. Someone just told me right now in Dubai, they're opening 2 longevity clinics a month.
Wow.
Literally.
I believe it.
I mean, we have loads already, but
yeah.
every single month there are 2. I'm happy people are interested, like they're interested in longevity and taking care of themselves. But at the same time, it's become a buzzword.
So what does that mean? A longevity, like what do you see in a longevity clinic?
For me, like before we jump into the clinic, longevity for me is not living longer and horrible lives. It's really lengthening your health span, you know, being the optimal version of yourself. When I see you, Joy, you know, I've looked at you on Instagram, you're living your true life, your best life. It's not about living a long life. It's about living your best optimal version of yourself that wakes up every morning excited, happy, looking forward to the day. That's what longevity is for me.
Yep. Amazing. Okay. So let's put that now into these clinics, because this is really, I think, the future, right? And this is what people are spending billions and trillions of dollars on. So what is a longevity clinic?
A longevity clinic is you coming in, you know, looking at what's wrong with you right now. So if you're a woman, let's say you constantly complain about being tired, overworked, stressed, you know, you can't seem to lose weight. And you're like, you know what, I'm going to go to this longevity clinic. The first thing they'll do is test your bloods. And for me, you go back to the basics, just test your biomarkers, test the basic ones. What's happening to your immune system? Is it overactivated? Are your immune cells too high? What's happening to your thyroid? Maybe the thyroid is overworking. Maybe there's an issue with you eating foods that are, you know, worsening your thyroid. You know, look at your hormones. What's happening to your hormones? Because again, if you look at the hormone called estrogen, that's literally your longevity hormone. Literally, it's the one that keeps you beautiful, that keeps you slim. If your estrogen is low, that's it. That's already you looking at it. So they'll do all of these tests with you. And then looking at your nutritional deficiencies, they would try to boost, you know, a little bit of that energy back into your life, depending on what the disease or the condition or the backstory is.
Okay. So it's kind of like root cause of what might be happening, and then looking at different protocols to help us live longer, healthier, happier lives.
Absolutely.
And bringing in lots of tech.
Bringing in lots of tech as well. But then again, this is where I say, as a clinician, as a practitioner and a clinician, you do need to look at the tests. You do need to suggest some wearables if you think it's worth it. But then people just need to go back to the basics. And one of the things of longevity has been researched for quite a few years now. People think about, anti-aging, but there are 10 hallmarks of aging. They call them 10 hallmarks.
Okay.
They've been studied, they've been researched. They're pretty complicated because some of them are, you know, looking at DNA, some of them are looking at gut health. You know, you just showed me a supplement right now and you were telling me about the gut microbiome. They're looking at all of the aspects, all of the systems in your body, from inflammation to hormones,
insulin,
and also
toxicity.
one of the most important one, toxicity. I was just going to say. Yes, I was like literally,
the
like
amount,
you said,
the toxins, and like, so for example, I went in to get my blood tested. I wanted to find out the amount of microplastics in my blood. So doctor pricked my finger, put it under the microscope, and in real time saw microplastics in my blood. Then he keeps going and he looks and he finds mold. And there was like this whole entire line of mold. And I looked at him and I'm like, man, you can be doing all of the things. I feel like I'm pretty healthy. And then there are all these environmental toxins that it's like on another level of things that we need to be looking at. So let's talk about toxins for a little bit. What do you see in your clients is coming up the most?
I see, for example, women getting pregnant and trying to conceive. And when the baby's born, they're already seeing 90 different toxins in the placenta when the baby's born. That's what we're seeing in clinic right now.
Oh, wow.
So you can imagine, like, if a baby's born with 90, I'm not sure what's happening to us. So for me, detoxification, but also metabolic detoxification.
How do we do that?
So you talked about blood sugar levels. If your glycemic index, your blood sugar levels are too high, you are already metabolically compromised. So you're already compromised. So your detoxification pathways are not functioning correctly. And this is where I find it exciting because sometimes you might be completely surrounded by toxin, as you said. But if you're detoxing properly, if you're doing the saunas a couple of weeks, a couple of days a week, if you're lowering your stress levels, if you're having the right amount of magnesium, if you're surrounded by positivity, I really believe that your toxic load reduces.
So we're talking the basics here.
Literally
We're not
the basics.
talking fancy, expensive treatments. It's like, let's nail the basics first before getting into a lot of debt, going into all of these other tools.
Yeah, because you don't need all these expensive machines either, I mean, if you're not detoxing, like if you're not going to the bathroom, let's just be honest, you're not detoxing, then that's a huge problem. Those toxins remain in your system. And also with hormones and women, Joy, as we know, we carry on a daily basis, we're carrying a lot of the recycled hormones, the estrogen, whatever hasn't been detoxed, and that's circulating in the system as well. So that needs to be detoxified as well. And, the liver has 2 phases of detoxification. So I don't want to get too sciencey here, but there's 2 detox pathways that the liver really needs to work on. You can't try to speed up, stage 2 without starting with stage 1. Doing the right natural detoxing, taking the right nutrients, and then moving.
So it's important to work with a practitioner to understand you can't just start trying to cleanse the liver before the gallbladder, before it all has to follow a plan.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
One thing I was going to say about toxins is your lymphatic system. And something that's free and easy to do is just by doing a lymphatic tapping, in the morning, just to get our lymphatic system going. Because say you're doing all the right dietary needs, right? We're looking at we're cleaning up our diet, we're drinking enough water. If your lymph nodes are blocked, right? They say sometimes people have a puff and not an armpit, right? They can't fit their rings on their fingers because they're so swollen all the time. That doing rebounding, just jumping for 2 minutes in the morning, shaking it out, sweating, like you said, for the saunas, dry brushing. Super simple, a lymphatic drainage massage at least once a month.
That's beautiful.
So important.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And what if we went into supplementation as well?
Great. Let's talk about it. I love some sups.
Yes.
What you got?
I mean, when I spoke to some people here, they were telling me, look, Romina, I went to a couple of the conferences in Dubai and they said, we're taking about 40 different supplements. And I said, look, you don't need suitcases of supplements, but you do need a couple that can really boost your energy levels when you need them. And that's where I love the whole biohacking term, because it's true. There are a lot of cheat sheets over here, I've taken a flight. I'm running on 5 hours of sleep, today, since the last 2 days. But I was like, I need the melatonin because the melatonin is going to help me to kind of balance, my circadian rhythm to a new country I've come to, in the UAE.
How many milligrams are you taking?
I'm taking 0.3 mg, quite low, very low. It's not that you need to take high amounts. But again, people will go to a store and say, I'll get some melatonin from the drugstore. Again, what type of melatonin are you taking?
You have to read the labels because they are throwing in so many chemicals and additives and bulking agents and citric acid. It's like, oh, why?
Absolutely. And this is where the whole trend now has come in about personalized nutrition. Maybe one type of melatonin will suit me, but won't suit you, Joy. So it's about understanding personalized nutrition. This is why testing becomes so interesting. We talked about just basic testing like blood sugar, white blood cells, red blood cells, thyroid. But then you also have a bit more of these advanced tests, such as looking at your hormones, as I said, and then also looking at your DNA. So that's become a big thing. Ooh, looking at your DNA to see, does Joy metabolize melatonin or not? What type of melatonin does she metabolize?
And you can do that through a simple blood test.
You can.
Wow.
You absolutely can. Do you detox properly? Or do you have an issue with detoxing? Even that, I think, could be a big one for people who have long-term disease that they're not able to move forward. For me, DNA testing could be that second step forward.
Hey, interesting. So let's start with your introduction. Take us back to the start. Ramina Melwani, said that right?
Yes.
Amazing. Yes. Okay. Take us back to the start. You are the founder of the Nutrition Collective. I want to hear, we are in such sync and similar vibes with the way that we coach. How did you start on this journey?
I believe it or not, I was into finance initially.
Okay, amazing.
Yes,
You're a
and
numbers girl.
Yes, but
Okay.
actually, I really didn't enjoy it. It was more like that's the first job I received. I spoke multiple languages, so they were like, "That's an easy one for you." So I was constantly taking shortcuts in life. I was like, "Let me just make more money, and then I'll figure it out." But I think that makes you really, really empty inside. At some point, you're like, "I just can't do this anymore." So I went to Milan on a work trip. One of my friends forced me to go into this talk. And in this talk, you had a nutritionist and a yogi, like a meditator.
Wow.
They were sitting in the room and they were talking about this connection between the body and the mind, how the mind impacts your body, but your body and what you put inside it also impacts your mind. And this is when I got fascinated.
This is like before the time.
I'm talking about 10, 12 years
they were
ago.
Definitely ahead of the times.
They
Okay,
were,
amazing.
because no one was talking about this whole mind-body connection.
No.
And I was like, that's interesting because I love meditation and I've seen what effect it does on me. But it was like this whole nutrition thing, I've taken it for granted. And this is where awareness grew. And I was like, you know what? I want to go, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I went back from Milan, back to London, found the first nutrition school and went and studied for 3 years.
Wow.
Literally working and studying because I knew that there's such a big piece here that nutrition cannot be underestimated.
And did you have any mentors? Did you have health issues? Did you have anybody that was...
I had a bit, again, when I brought back the whole thyroid issue, I realized I was extremely stressed.
Okay.
A finance environment is not positive for women, not for her hormones, not for her mental state, you know, that high energy rat race and constant like wheels. I was like, that's not who I am. You know, this is killing me. And I actually uncovered through my first blood test as a student of nutrition, I uncovered that I had a thyroid problem and that I was heading into a thyroid nightmare. You could see on the bloods. There was a cascade waiting for me to happen.
And this is so crazy because if you look at our mothers and grandmothers' generations, they weren't struggling and suffering with the same autoimmune conditions that we are. I was able to eat peanut butter in elementary school. Now kids can't even bring anything peanut or nut related, right? Allergies are going up, autoimmune diseases are going up. What the heck is happening?
Again, I think it's that combination, like you said, you know, in longevity, we talk about blue zones.
Yeah.
I went to Italy, close to the blue zones. Like I just wanted to understand where in the mountains. And one of the guides there said, look, blue zones is not just eating the polyphenols from the olive tree that we have here, or, you know, the natural omega-3s. He was like, the blue zone is you pausing, is you taking a slow life, is you reflecting, is you having long walks in the mountains. He said that's what the blue zone people did in Italy. Those were the first blue zone studied kind of generations that were, you know, living over 100 years.
So then how did you get into the nutrition? How was the Nutrition Collective born?
I finished my 3 years.
Okay.
And I realized that there was way too much of misinformation out there. I was like, you know, everybody on social media, everybody's telling me that, you know, coconut oil is good for you, coconut oil is not good for you. And I was like, hang on a second, there's a huge gap here, you know. And I was like, as a nutritionist myself, I was like, everything is evolving. Every day, Joy, I know you just gave me like a supplement to tell me about the gut microbiome
of your oral
mouthwash.
microbiome. Yeah, it's crazy.
Every single day, we're experiencing new information in the world of nutrition and health. And I was like, I need to be on top of it. I want to know exactly what's going on right now. But I don't just want what people are saying on Instagram or, you know, social
I don't even think you had Instagram back then.
No, you didn't. But I was like, I don't want to hear what other people have to say. I want evidence-based information.
Great.
I want information that's solid.
Okay.
And I said, if no one's going to provide that to me, I'm going to start doing this myself.
Okay.
So I started I'm talking about 6 years ago.
Wow.
Started researching all the experts in, you know, health and nutrition, but mainly in chronic disease.
Okay.
Because I looked at all the experts in autoimmune conditions, for example. I was like, who are the big people? Have they written books? Have they researched this topic? If they've researched this for 10, 20 years, I'm going to go talk to them and I'm going to ask them to give us the knowledge to provide the clinical pearls. I want that firsthand knowledge from those people. So when I talk about Nutrition Health Collective, we've changed the name from Nutrition Collective to Nutrition Health Collective because I started as a nutritionist, but then I realized it's not just nutrition.
Everything.
It's all the other pillars. It's the sleep, it's the movement, as you said. It's the mindset, it's all of that. It's the hormones, it's all of it. You can't just look at nutrition. So we changed the name to Nutrition Health Collective.
Love it.
And
so what is it? It's a platform.
It's an education platform that's aimed to bring you the latest cutting edge knowledge in nutrition, but also in functional medicine, in health. That's what we are.
People can sign up for courses, lectures, flyers.
Courses, webinars, conferences. This is why we're so excited to do our longevity conference this weekend. Yeah. Because for me, yes, you can share the knowledge online, but people coming together, you know, you've created such a beautiful community of people around you, Joy. That's it. You want to create a community that has the same vision, that wants to heal other people, that wants to support other people, and that wants to heal chronic disease. Because like you said, whether we like it or not, children with peanut allergies, on the rise. Huge. Children with autism,
on the rise.
You know, people with autoimmune conditions, on the rise. People with mental health issues, on the rise. So we have to find a way to heal chronic disease, bridge that gap. But don't just do it with what's being said outside. Research it. Get the evidence-based medicine. Find a platform that will give you trusted.
And don't just take pills from a doctor.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a time and a place for the antibiotics and all of the things. But there's also, I mean, so I'm 39 years old. I've never had a round of antibiotics.
Wow.
My mom's 73. It's like my whole family has been healed with herbs, oils, homeopathy, natural medicines. So I know it can be done. I've seen it firsthand that it can be done. But the problem that I'm seeing too is that the doctors are just handing out these pills like candy for the money incentive, but also because they don't also know the holistic approach to what you and I are trying to show.
They don't, but also, like you said, a lot of the hospitals incentivize, a lot of the pharma incentivizes the clinicians and the doctors. It's horrible.
Well, I guess
like you said with diabetes.
Yeah.
You just said that, why give them the metformin pill when you can just reverse diabetes naturally?
Yep.
Put them on a glucose monitor.
Yep.
2 weeks.
Proteins and fats and fiber.
You know what that guy did that did the constant glucose monitoring that I gave him? He stopped eating those oats in the morning.
Yes.
And he swapped them for eggs.
Yes.
He swapped them for good fats.
Amazing.
And he was like, look, I already know my numbers. And he changed his diet and lifestyle. Incredible. And he's reduced his pills by half right now. Incredible. So I was like, that's the big win. That's what we're all about,
With a simple 2-week monitor. Crazy, right?
Crazy.
Okay, so let's talk about this longevity conference that you have coming up this weekend. Tell us where it is, what people are going to expect, the speakers that are going to be there.
It's really exciting because for me, we're doing this longevity conference for a day and a half on Friday, the 21st of November of this week, and 22nd of November, so Friday and Saturday, at the Move and Pick Jumeirah Beach. And it's really a lovely venue because I think we do conferences very differently. Someone told me in Dubai, Romina, if you do anything in Dubai, like a conference, and you do an average conference, you still, people still come and they enjoy it.
It's true.
And I was like, I don't do average.
Okay, great, even better.
I was like, I do amazing, life-changing conferences. That's what we're all about. And this conference is very, very varied because we're coming in with clinical workshops on understanding, for example, how do you change your DNA? How do you change your DNA to be healthier? There's this concept called telomere lengthening. Mm-hmm. How do you lengthen your telomeres? Which is, again, one of the hallmarks of aging. How do you support clinical detoxification? We're gonna do a whole piece on detoxification to understand that. We're gonna do a whole piece on cell energy, which is the mitochondria. How do you nourish your mitochondria? Because with all the toxins, with everything we're doing to it, every single day we're damaging that mitochondria. So how do you actually support and nourish your cell energy? That's the source of life. Again, that's another workshop. We're diving into a very new topic that no one's ever heard about because you mentioned the oral microbiome. Mm-hmm. But we've met this amazing brain expert, and he's going to be talking about the nasal microbiome.
Oh, my goodness.
So he's like, the nasal microbiome might actually be the path to strengthening your brain and to reversing a lot of the brain aging that's happening. So the nasal microbiome has a direct link to the brain,
of course, to
the blood-brain barrier. And I was like, that's such an exciting topic. We have to bring this guy to speak.
Cool. I mean, one of the things that I love about these conferences is the community. You know, like the speakers are amazing and I'm super excited to learn from them. But oftentimes it's like the 10, 15-minute coffee breaks in between that you get to meet like-minded people that are on the same frequency. We're all taking the time out of our day to be there.
100%.
Right? We're waking up and we're going to a longevity summit to meet other like-minded people, to then collaborate, to connect, to
be inspired. And, you know, to really feel that we're in this tribe together.
Yeah,
we're in this journey together because we're only 3% of the population interested in longevity and health. Everybody else is eating the junk food, is having the stressful life, is doing whatever, like, you know, they want in their life without looking at the consequences. We're saying, hang on a second, we need to stick together.
Well, and what's so funny is like, I think that talking about peptides and biohacking and longevity and poop and like all these other things is like a normal conversation. But then when you go outside of our little 3% bubble, people have no idea. No idea.
They look at you as if you're crazy. And I'm like, well, this is the future.
Yeah.
The future of longevity is bright because all of these people need help.
Yep.
All of them need help. And I think what we do differently as well in our conferences is that we do a lot of round tables as well. So we're doing the keynotes. It's great to hear the speaker, but it's also great to have a debate on longevity. So even what longevity means in Dubai or the UAE, we're having a panel on that. We're going to be talking about individualized nutrition. You know, if you want to take peptides, maybe you might not be the right candidate. And maybe there's a certain type of peptide you need to take to help you boost that cell energy we were talking about. So we're going to be doing all those little details as well, you know, not just big picture, but looking at, okay, how do I move from theory to protocols to real life strategies? Because it's great to receive the knowledge. How do I apply it? How do I make this part of my daily life? So for me, that's what our conference is about, is making something theoretical into putting it into practice. And I think you're actually the embodiment of it. You just told me right at the beginning, you know, you've had, you know, you're looking at all these toxins and you went and tested your microplastics and you're like, what can I do this today? What is that one thing I can do in the house? You know, remove that Teflon pan and move it to you know, to a exactly.
Yeah, just small, simple things. I do want to give a shout out to Dr. Ozone. Because when I got all this mold, heavy metals, microplastics, I was like, what do I do? And I found them and they have been so fabulous. They are spiritual, intuitive. They make you feel at home. And I got all the ozone treatment that I could need.
Wow. I love Dr. Ozone. I've been to their clinic.
They have just been, so great shout out for them.
Absolutely.
But I want to get into the topic of peptides because this is such an emerging topic. People still don't know what they are. So in some brief words, when you're explaining to a patient, you're like, hey, I think that you should start this peptide protocol. And they're like, huh? What do you say?
I'll be completely honest with you. I myself don't fully understand it.
Okay, great.
I don't understand what peptides are about. And this is why we're having 2 different sessions on peptides at our conference.
Okay.
The one of them is going to be injectables versus, you know, oral supplementation, liposomal.
Yeah.
And the other one is going to be about actually understanding when is peptide necessary, when do you use it, and sometimes it can actually be it can actually oxidize in the body and be dangerous. So we're going to have these 2 sessions
and
demystify them because I felt I don't understand them myself fully. I do know I do know that they are huge when it comes to reversing, you know, aging, 100%. But there needs to be a very specific dose, a very specific type. Yeah. And most of the peptide that's arriving in the world right now, by the time it arrives, it's such a sensitive molecule that by the time you bottle it, it's lost.
Dead. Yeah.
It's dead.
I mean, they are so delicate. I mean, even when you put the water and like, if you squirt the water straight down into it, the peptides can die. You know, so you have to like gently put the water on the side. So it's a very slippery slope with peptides, but there's an abundant amount of things that we could be taking to benefit our health and longevity. So I'm super excited to hear this peptide talk because I really do feel that they are the way of the future.
They absolutely are. And, you know, again, it's the injectables versus the A lot of the
Orals.
hormonal endocrinologists are using peptides on women, but injectables, for example. But if you're going to take it for anti-aging, then maybe the liposomal ones are better. But I'm excited myself. This is why I do these conferences, because I want to learn.
Yeah.
I put information there that I'm not very comfortable with. I'm like, let's talk about this.
Great.
And also, I think what we do differently is when we bring community together, we're really walking the talk with the food. So you'll come for the breaks, you'll come for the food, you'll have lunch at the conference, and it's all healthy, it's all natural, it's all closest to nature as possible. And again, we want to walk the talk, because if you're inviting people to a conference, you don't serve them croissants and muffins. You serve
I see
them.
this all the time, all these health shows, and I'm like, why are we serving so much sugar? I know.
And I'm just like, that is exactly what we're saying. Let's avoid sugar. How can I serve you sugar at the conference? So for me, it's like, really, let's walk the talk, you know.
Okay, I'm gonna go through some like funny, some funny questions. So, what's the one nutrition or biohack you personally swear by, and maybe one that you think is also overhyped?
One supplement, you mean?
No,
Or
like one nutrition or just simple biohack. I mean, we've talked about sleep,
yes.
we've talked about the other ones, but what's something else?
for me, cordyceps mushrooms.
Oh,
you know, I'm a microtherapist.
okay. Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Cordyceps mushrooms is one of the biggest biohacks when I'm tired, I'm mentally exhausted. Medicinal mushrooms are my go-to.
Great.
It just grounds me.
Wow.
I just need that
Are we
grounding.
talking pills, powders? You put it in a coffee?
Coffees work, but I prefer the pills. I prefer natural pills, but I want them to be extracts, high dosage.
Okay.
The reishi and the cordyceps together, a powerful combination.
Okay.
Reishi helps to stabilize the mind, calm your nervous system, and cordyceps increases energy levels. Okay. You need both. You need the energy without the frazzle. You need that calm mind with high energy levels. So for me, that's my go-to biohack.
All right. I love it. I've been taking chaga more consistently lately. And I also feel like I get to drop in, get that little dose of energy a little bit. But yeah, mushrooms is also a really hot topic right now too.
It is. And we're going to be touching on mushrooms as well at the longevity conference.
Okay.
We have to.
Okay. Amazing.
We have to. We'll be talking about cordyceps, lion's mane, and reishi.
Amazing.
Powerful medicinal mushrooms. What's your biohack, Joey?
Oh goodness. I love my hydrogen water. I mean, I think that hydration after your sleep and after all these other things, I think we have to be focusing on the quality of the water. I mean, I look at this bottle that you have right here, and I just wonder, what is the journey that this water has had to go in, right? From processing it, sitting in a hot storage, being transported. I mean, it's dead by the time that we drink it. So getting hydrogen water that actually hydrates you on a cellular level, I think is really important. And when I switched over to my hydrogen machine, I felt a difference within a couple days. The first thing that my roommates, we're all doing these experiments, and they're like, wow, I'm way more thirsty. And it was only the first couple days, because what has to happen is all of this dead water has to get flushed out of your body for then the hydrogen water to actually come in and hydrate you. And I think in especially these desert climates, everybody is constantly dehydrated and drinking dead water. So that's one of my favorite biohacks.
I love that. I love that. Cellular health.
Cellular health. Amazing. So what is one fad that, or like biohack that you see out there that we need to demystify?
I'm going to be controversial here, but cold water plunges.
Oh, let's talk about that.
So if you are doing a cold water plunge, you're supposed to go completely up to the head.
Ooh.
You can't just go halfway and say, I've done a cold water plunge or go into one of those. No, you can't. Because the problem is that people who did the cold water plunges back in the time in Ayurvedic medicine and Indian, back in the civilizations, if your head is not at the same room temperature as the rest of the body, there's a disconnect. So whilst I'm not against cold water plunges, I say you have to go all in. You can't just go halfway or up to your neck.
Well, and is this why the Russians always wear those hats in the sauna too? Something about...
I don't know about that. That's an interesting one. But
they say it's something to do with the temperature of your head. I think it's the same kind of concept, that if you're cold or if you're hot, this is where most of it's coming from.
And the problem is then it becomes a disconnect because your immune system is confused.
Interesting. And what about ice baths for hormonal women? I mean, they're also saying that it's not good for women in general, blah, blah, blah. My take is that you can do it, the first couple weeks of your cycle, and then probably not during your like the week before you're getting your period.
100%. Because the problem is that women need the carbs.
Yeah.
Women need the buffer.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to lose weight or trying to stop, our body from building the carbs or eating the carbs. So the cold water plunge for me doesn't make sense at that point because you need warmth, you need nourishment. And a cold water plunge is cold for the body. Anyways, our estrogen is down. The second 2 weeks, of your cycle, you have no estrogen, your progesterone has plummeted. You need nourishment. You need something cozy. You can't be in the cold.
Yep. Okay, great. That's a good tip for women. Okay, if the Nutrition Health Collective were a person, what kind of personality would it have?
I love that. Warm, kind, but also very professional. I know it's contradicting, but it's the warmth with the professionalism. That's what we're all about. We bring both together.
I love that. And men and women?
In both. For me, especially in men as well, because, this whole world of nutrition and longevity can be a very male-dominated world, but you bring in the softness with the nurturing, the nutrition, the rest. All of that is being underestimated. So that brings, for me, Nutrition Health Collective brings the warmth. Great. Whoever comes to our conferences, meets with us, says, we really feel that warmth and that belonging. And yet we're still... We maintain the professionalism, we maintain the evidence-based medicine. We'll give you everything in a very neutral, matter-of-the-fact way because, there's no right and wrong depending on the research. And we bring in the warmth, we bring in the community.
I love it.
And for me, that's key.
All right, so when you're not traveling, doing workshops, what are you doing with yourself?
I'm a little bit of a monk sometimes, I won't lie.
Are you more introverted?
I'm not, actually. I'm an ambivert. Okay. But I was a monk for 5 years. So I actually, wanted to really keep away from everything. I needed to get away from the external distractions and connect to myself. So for me, that grounding is necessary. And having been a monk for 5 years and then coming back to this world is kind of...
What do you mean being a monk for 5 years?
I was literally a monk for 5 years.
What?
Literally, I gave up everything. All my clothes, all my shoes, I wore no makeup. I was literally a monk. I had decided to live a life of service. That was one of my,
Hey, where were you?
I was still in London, but I was in between London and one of the mountains in India.
Okay.
But the true monk is not someone who goes in and runs away into the mountains. A true yogi is someone that can live a very grounded life in a crazy environment like London. So for me, that was my challenge. How can I remain stable, grounded, connected in a city like London that, asks you exactly the opposite of that?
Crazy.
So for me, that's a very important part of my life.
That's a fun fact. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. That is something very unusual. It's amazing. Yeah. Rapid fire question. What's your favorite go-to snack?
Oh my God, I love baked crisps. Oh, I know that's terrible, but it is one of mine.
All right, great.
And hummus. I love hummus.
While you're here in Dubai, I would love for you to get Keto Real. They have baked protein chips that are phenomenal, different flavors and super clean.
Wow.
So if you're a chip person, Keto Real is the way to go. Favorite way to move your body? What's your favorite kind of workout?
I love strength training. I mean, I'm at the gym 3 times a week. Yes. I try to just strength training. I do it and I feel better.
Yep.
The running doesn't help me. It's the strength training.
Yep. If you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about how nutrition education is delivered today, what would that be?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I think AI is changing that anyways. But
faster than we know.
Yeah, but I'd want it to be like a Netflix of education. You're clicking, you're like, hey, take me to peptides, for example. And I want to know everything about peptides, but I don't want the long, boring stuff. I just want you to give me the 5 key facts right now. And it will search every library in the world, researched, and give you that peptide information.
Cool. Great.
That would be amazing for me.
And what's next for you? What projects do you have coming up? I mean, I know that we obviously have this huge health conference on the weekend.
Yes.
Tickets are still available, right?
Yes.
Great.
Few spots left,
Okay.
but tickets are definitely available for Friday and Saturday.
Great.
So depending on the topics, they can come to both or come for one of the days.
Great. So once you deload and de-stress from the conference, what's next for you?
For me, I love the Middle East right now. I love Dubai. I love what the UAE has to offer. And I've realized that we want to bring the Nutrition Health Collective from London to Dubai on a permanent basis. So I'll be here a couple of weeks to really see how we make this something that stays here, that can be grounded. And, we can really share this knowledge properly with healthcare professionals, with biohackers, with people interested in health. I want us to become that source for them of providing evidence-based, trusted information in nutrition and functional medicine.
Cool. So I'm going to be seeing more of you. That's exciting.
Absolutely.
Okay. What else is going on? What else would you like to tell our viewers?
I would love to say that I think get to know us on a personal level. We're not about big corporates. That's not who we are. We are small. We are loving. We are, kind. So do get to know us. Come and say hello personally. We're always available. And for us, it is about coming together and creating something bigger than ourselves. And for me, that's our mission and vision.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.